Hello everyone, I am ClericofMadness. I should... I'm not even looking at Twitch and I already know I need to change what's going on. One of these days I'm going to get it to where I understand what I'm doing ahead of time instead of right now. I'm so god-awful at this. It's a wonder they let me have my own internets. So, let me go unfail myself. You want to see me speedrun OBS? No, I'm speedrunning Twitch right now. I'm speedrunning Twitch. I'm so god-awful at this. I forgot to change what we're doing. Here, let's see. What's a good 20-minute song I can play? Is this... there we go. Okay. Now, I've done this once before. Oh yeah, let me just whatever. Okay, there. I think I did it. I think I have set everything. So how is everyone? People of the future watching this in the VOD, just talk to the screen. Don't actually reply. I won't be able to see or hear you. People of the past, hello. People of the future, goodbye. I'm sorry, everything's gone now. So, random stream, just really wanted to sit down and talk about silent fiction. Silence fiction? Silence fiction. It's what I call these new wave horror movies, like A Quiet Place, Bird Box, The Silence, and to a lesser extent, Don't Breathe. Anybody remember Don't Breathe? It's that robbery home invasion movie where it had a blind man who was Yeah, spoilers. Trying to impregnate a person he'd already kidnapped to replace his lost daughter. So it's a really weird, seemingly tiny subgenre of science fiction horror where either you can't make a sound or you can't make a see. Because let's all be honest, blindness is just silence for your eyes. And it's really funny because Bird Box, the book, came out in 2014, followed by The Silence in 2015, Don't Breathe in 2016, and A Quiet Place and Bird Box, the films, both came out in 2018, and The Silence came out this year, which is 2019, people of the future. But there really seems to be a small but noticeable trend of you gotta be quiet or you can't see. Hello, Sakura. And Beth. Hello. Hello, friends. Hello. So I really like the idea. Yay! I did it! I'm glad you can hear me. Just don't let the aliens hear you. I think they'll hunt me down. Because really, why wouldn't they? I mean, it's me. Look at everything I've done. Shame on me. Shame. I'm proud of me too. But yeah. So, A Quiet Place and The Silence are movies where you can't make a sound because the crazy monsters will find you and nibble your bits off. And Bird Box is a movie where you can't look at the things because reasons. Yeah, reasons. But there was a discussion, I want to say a year or so ago, with a group of friends of mine, where we were trying to design a monster that fed on silence, or created silence, and I think what we came up with was this insect, very small insect that generates an aura of silence, or just eats everything else that makes noise, and creates this sticky substance that covers things so it can't make a sound. But as far as this sensory fiction, whatever you want to call it, I had a really nice idea following up with that for a story called Silence Between the Pages. It's a story I want to write with everybody today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever this will be. But it's about a man and a library and an incursion. So I hope everyone's ready for me to take entirely too long to write a story instead of play through a story, because Lord knows I'm really good at wasting everyone's time when it comes to just absolutely everything. I mean, I did create the Creepypasta Wiki, so I have literally wasted hundreds of people's hours just in general. Same. Yeah. No, I am... So, if I click this button, I'm gonna get my word. Hello, Hyper. Hello, hi, how are you? You missed my little spiel about, science fiction. Those are my faces. Faces. It is the Zath. So, I'm gonna go back to this image real quick. This... Yeah, well... Basically, the Zath has appeared. Basically, it was a short spiel about how there's an uptick in a sort of body horror, but not really body horror, in that, A Quiet Place and The Silence are You Can't Speak, and Bird Box and kinda Don't Breathe. If you remember that. Hello, Max. If anybody remembers Don't Breathe, and I certainly don't, for good reasons. That was kind of a don't speaky, can't see kind of sensory fiction. I'm sorry to hear that you remember Don't Breathe, Max. I'm sorry that I remember Don't Breathe. But I really like the idea of silence as a tool, but more so silence as a narrative device, in that I wrote... This is why Cleric drinks, yes. I'm staring at my Jim Beam, but we're going to be a good boy today. This is a good boy stream for good boys. It's just... Oh. Don't Breathe was the movie where the blind man, was in a house, and then some assholes decide to break in to steal his money, and then he goes Rambo on them. Basically. Choo-choo, there goes my train of thought. What if... Well, then you just sit in the corner, Zath. You know what you did. I know what I did. I'm already in that corner. I'm responsible for like 90 things. 90% of things on the internet. Sounds like a role for Nicolas Cage. I'm a bad man. Yeah, no, I already mentioned the replacing the daughter. Hyper, you make... Not Hyper, sorry. I can't read. But Hyper mentioned this yesterday, but Max, you also bring up the same point. These 4 films, Don't Breathe, A Quiet Place, Bird Box, and The Silence, yeah, everyone's Hyper. All 4 of these movies really like to kill children. Like, really like to kill children. Like, really. Like, somebody should be investigated for the amount of child murdering. But, as I was saying... Yeah, well, they are demons. Children are demons. I remembered my point, which is rare. Because when I go off on a tangent, I've got to hold on to it. But I like silence as a narrative tool, where most stories are dialogue heavy, and that really runs up the word count, I find. But I wrote a prologue to a noir story that was absolutely dialogue free. It was all descriptions. It was colorful, it was dark, it was great. And I really like not using dialogue to tell a story, because you can still use the character's inner thoughts, but you don't have all that faffing about with, Johnny and Jimmy talking about their day. You just have a more fast-paced, panicky sort of story in this sort of situation, where there is no sound. You couldn't talk if you wanted to. You can think to yourself, but you can't really speak. You can't make a sound. So it's going to be really interesting to write this. The story is going to be called Silence Between the Pages. It's a story about aliens. This is a library, and it's going to be really fun, I think, to spend entirely way too long writing. But before we do that, the reason I brought the image back up is because this is a wallpaper I made based on a single image, like one of these masks I found in a Hallmark, like after Halloween. I took a picture of it. I did a lot of stuff to it, and then now you have this. As a matter of fact, an edited version of a single one of these masks has been my iPhone lock screen for 3 or 4 years running, and I dare not change it because it's too cool. But let's figure out how to do this. Okay, so silence between the pages is something I came up with in response to a group effort to write a concept for a monster that relies on silence. Write a story where the aliens can hear every move, and they're in danger, but they have to finish shooting this tasty video. But also, the EDM music is just too loud. Oh my god, man! Oh man, Beth, why do you remind me of the Bad Times videos? 5 life hacks for when your life is in danger and you just can't speak. You know, as I say, I'm going to sit down and write a story while talking to you. I realize how hard this is going to be, so bear with me. I'm going to talk a lot and write not so much. What about a world where farting is what attracts the aliens? You can talk, you can see, you can make any noise, but if you fart, the aliens kill you. Wow, Taco Bell finally goes out of business. You know, I'm going to start this off with another anecdote. When I was younger, I used to be a little whiny brat. Until my mother... This is the most brilliant parenting she's ever done. Hi, Mom. Sorry, Mom. Love you, Mom. She told me not to cry because crying babies get nothing. But more importantly, and this is a piece of advice I advise everyone instill their children with, crying is the sound that calls the monsters. That, for a child, you'll never cry again. Guarantee it. Nowadays, I just cry to see if I can call the monsters because I'm bored and lonely and really need a scary friend. And also because I'm sad. Okay, so the story is set in a library, and it's just about the silence, except there's no silence, and the parents just told that. Yeah. You know, the silence, except there's no silence, and the parents just told their kids that to shut them up. You know, I have a sneaking suspicion that or anything else would have made for a better film. They could have just had a man reading an apology for the entire runtime. I would walk into the Eldritch Demon Lair just because it's more interesting. I now have 3 types of hands on my shelf, Seth. They're not real. Well, they weren't all real hands until recently. I have a plastic skeleton hand that I used to use to hold things, a candle holder that's just a molded hand with like a little candle slot on the top, and now I have a gator claw, which sits between them. Did they just morph into real hands suddenly? Maybe. I'm not watching them all the time. I don't know what they get up to in their free time. I just know they're not real when I'm staring at them, and that's really the important thing. I don't think they're real when anyone's looking at them. They can be real if they want to, just not when I have to see them. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Cleric. They're very creepy Toy Story, yes. If we hear Cleric being strangled during the... Yes. If you hear me being strangled, I have not I've not fed the hands. What would you even feed hands? How would you feed a pet hand? Can anybody write that story? Just imagine, just look at your hands right now and just imagine if you had to feed them or they'd strangle you. I'm looking at my hands, which is totally not the most awkward thing in the world to do in an empty room. Just staring back and forth at hands. Jeez. No, Sakura, if you gave the disembodied hand a job, it would not be a hand job. It would be a hand task. Thank you. He's a very serious and hard worker. He wears a 3-piece business suit because he wants to be taken seriously. Give it a job. Yeah. Ah, this is really hard to do while also not vocalizing what I'm trying to write. And I'm going to do it anyways because I have no shame, and this is the internet where nobody knows who you are and everyone does. So, attention. Something you'll learn really quickly about me is that attention Kmart shoppers. No, something you'll learn about me very quickly is that I suck at spelling, and people ask me all the time, "How do you spell this? You're a writer, you're an author," and I'm like, "Oh, I use spell check." I really do. I feel like I'm not alone in this, but I also feel like I am. Like, I hope I never become a famous published author giving tours and be like, "You're so eloquent." I'm like, "Thanks. I love the thesaurus." Thanks. The dictionary is my friend. So is Google. Attention, Fayetteville Public Library patrons. The library will be closing now. M. Writer can't spell. Good. Oh, thank God I am validated. Attention, Fayetteville Public Library patrons. The library will be closing now. Please, leave. Seriously. What are you doing here all day? Oh, goodness. Well, yeah. Yeah. Hyper, you're right. That movie didn't make any sense on paper, let alone on celluloid. If you're gonna have a bunch of creatures trapped in a cave for 22 squintillion years or whatever, how did they do a live? Like, now, it could work if it was Rita Repulsa and she was trapped in a sewer grate and on the moon or whatever the hell it was. And after 10,000 years, I'm finally free. Squeak, squeak. Well, how did the book handle the bats in the cave, or bat wasps? Because they lay eggs and things. They're wats, bosps. No. So the bats are only one animal. Oh. See, if they had the whole, the bats weren't the only things down there angle in the movie, it wouldn't have been so ridiculous to think about. 'Cause, yeah, there's plot holes, and then there's, plot canyons, the likes of which spelunkers would have to be called in with canaries. Soft voice Libraries. If the plot hole is big enough to drive a whole separate story through, you done goofed. I agree, Sakura. I agree. Like, speaking of plot holes big enough to drive the 410 to Yuma through, no, you really can't. You really can't adapt anything that's a slow burn into a fast, dumb movie. It's why there's not been a good Dracula movie yet, ever. Probably. I don't know. I'm not sure if Dracula 3000 was a good movie. I haven't seen it yet. I own it, but I'm not going to watch it. I know it's bad. I can tell. Dracula's a slow burn. It's a whole bunch of letters back and forth. It's ye olde boring, but it's great. It builds up to a point where, you know, blah. Speaking of plot holes, though, has anybody stopped to think about The Sixth Sense, where what has Bruce Willis been doing for the last some odd years since he got spoilered? Well, yeah, Nosferatu is great, but, you know, silent films are super duper. I should really check my notes on this before I open my big dumb mouth. But I can't remember if it was A Quiet Place or The Silence. I want to say it was The Silence. Or maybe it was Don't Breathe. No, I think it was a different movie altogether. But they wanted to do a completely silent picture, but they thought that the audience would be attracted to any sort of stimulus and not pay attention. But I think like a silent horror picture would be great in the modern era. Just think about it. Just think about these science fiction movies where everything is actually portrayed as quiet. Like, it'd be great, I think. Yeah, you did have the movie scores. They were a little bit goofy, but I think if you used a low ambient music, even quiet ambient sound where like there's nothing but like gentle wind or just muffled instruments, it would work a lot better than strong musical backings like it's Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Like how modern video games like The Last of Us. Please don't hoist me up on that crucifix. But I like the musical score on that. Okay, now I'm thinking of a jump scare in a film with absolutely no sound. I mean, yeah, like in God, but it wasn't Paranormal Activity. Insidious, where the characters are talking and it just pans over to the face behind them and then it cuts back to her being shocked. I don't remember if there was a noise there, but just something unsettling in the background. But not in like the Omen sense where it was just so predictable. Like Omen 2006 was such a bad film. I was sitting in the theaters picking out when the scary stuff was going to happen based on the color scheme. Because they telegraphed too hard with their color scheme. That movie really wanted to be the Sixth Sense level of subtle in the color red and white, but it was not. Yes. You know, I have a rule where whenever I think about that, I have to play it, but I don't think that's suitable for ears, no matter how low I make it. So it's a lot harder than I thought to write for an audience. So, again, please bear with me. I am really, really bad at everything I do, including, but not limited to, the ideas I have. Thank you for the reassurance. I am glad I have written 32 words in almost a half hour. Doing great. It's more productive than I've been all month. Almost. Well, yes, those are some well-behaved library patrons. They're ideal high school students. I mean, what are they going to do? Upturn tables and dab violently on their way out? I mean, yes, they probably would, if this wasn't set in Bizarro World. But let's see. What? Refuse to leave? Hide behind a bookshelf? These are high school kids. Why would you not want to leave a library? Like, I'm an adult, and if somebody told me a library was closing, I'd be like, well, bye. Do teenagers need to read? No, but thinking about our public library, it's a nice, quiet, lovely place, and when it closes, people leave. Now, there are delinquents hanging outside of it, but they're delinquents in the sense that they have nothing else better to do with their time, so they hang out and talk in front of a library, which is pretty delinquent for Southern children. Y'all want to go mud riding? Nah, we're going to stand outside of the Oxford Public Library. We're going to loiter. Like, that's apparently the cool spot for kids these days. When I was a kid, you just went home and slept. Like, apparently now, I guess you gotta catch the Pokemons. Gotta catch them all. Libraries. I don't know. I'm so old, I feel out of touch with the young kids. Daddy, oh, groovy. Attention Fayetteville Public Library patrons, the library will be closing now, came a soft voice over the library speaker system. Everyone gathered up their belongings and quietly dabbed out of the building. Yeet, one of them said. Man, I had an idea for the next sentence and it just flitted off into the stars themselves. Oh. They yeeted their books on the way out right into the trash can. They just walked out and just dabbed them into the trash and said Kobe. And got back on in their dad's van and said, "Where we dropping now, boys?" and cracked open a cold one in the yard. Did I do that right, fellow children? Did I get it right? Am I cool now? Spoilers. I was never cool. I'm sorry, I will bet. Yeah, there goes all of the viewers. There were like many, and now there are many still. Glad I'm not popular. People would peek in and be like, what's this guy talking about? Yeeting school books into the trash can and dabbing into their dad's van. Well, I'm out of here. Yes, this is making for a great stream. I am glad everyone is here. I appreciate you for showing up, and I'm sorry I'm a piece of garbage. Hey, first time viewer here, just wanted to suggest that you write a story where the protagonist starts off being full of hopes and dreams and ends with him or her feeling empty inside. A real coming-of-age story that is also relatable to millennials and moms in their 40s to 50s. What say you? Wow, that sounds like the story of my life. I remember being a young go-getter and then life happened. I started the Creepypasta Wiki, and now every night before I go to sleep, I have to count the atrocities I have committed on the way to glory and fame. More like infamy. I mean, you know, that does sound like a really good idea. But seriously, I think creepypasta is a war crime. I'm sure many people will agree with me that, you know, creepypasta, much like anime, was a mistake. But, you know, somebody had to do it, and I'm pretty sure everyone will agree it's probably better off having been me rather than somebody else. Because, man, those kids. Oof. So I now have a group of people outside a library. This stream has been a slower burn than Dracula so far. Okay, so was it dying? Yes, it was dying. Creepypasta was dying. I don't know how many times I can say this because I will always say this. Creepypasta.com had shut down by the time I went to go start the wiki. Creepypasta.com could not support itself on the available ad revenue and site traffic, and so was closing down. And I, after a few years, went back and looked at it, and it was alive again. Blogs like Terror Tortellini started up. I had my own little blog that you can still find out there, creepypastaarchive.blogspot.com. I think that's what it was called. I haven't looked at that thing in almost a decade. But yeah, no, everything was dead and dying. The trend was on the downturn, and then I had to come give it electroshock therapy and bring it back to life. And now here we are. Horror fiction. A new renaissance of creepypasta, internet horror fiction. It's all my damn fault. You know, I look at the Channel Zero DVDs whenever I go to Walmart and drag myself across that aisle and just sigh. Because I know. Because I just know that that's my fault. In some way, shape, or form. Now, I think r/no sleep came right around the same time as the wiki did, but still my fault. Just everything's my fault. Again, before I sleep, I have to think of the atrocities I have committed in the creepypastas. Quick, somebody throw out a name. I need 2 names of characters. Somebody. Ooh, look. Ooh, look, we're being interactive. Jim, okay, give him another one. Give him another one. Sakura. I'm gonna use Reggie. He's gonna be Reginald, but nobody's gonna call him Reginald, because if somebody called him Reginald, they'd also have to punch themselves after they finish punching him. His body is never ready. Reggie. His body is never Reginald. He eats a hearty breakfast of oats to keep his body Reginald. That joke was never going to work. On no level would that joke have worked. Okay, who wants to watch me? Oh my god, I spelled it right. Gold star for me. Yes, let's watch Cleric fail to write high school dialogue. let's watch the quasi boomer write cool kid dialogues. I feel like a Hollywood executive directing a script's direction. Yeah, I do Facebook and put Fortnite in there somewhere. That's what the kids. Dialogue is fucking hard. Dialogue is hard. And that's a long ass cow. That is a disturbingly long cow. Who is he? Who let the long cow in here? No, that's a cow. It's a cow. That cow has a Doppler effect. See you tomorrow, Jim, said Reginald as he readjusted his backpack. You'd better study for the test, not just flip through Facebook on your phone if you don't want to fail yet another one of Mr. I'm Dude, you're not my mom. Mr. Dapplebob. If you don't want to fail yet another one of Mr. Dapplebob's... Man. You better study and not just flip through Facebook on your phone if you don't. Man, I promise I can write. What? If you don't want to fail yet another one of Mr. Dapplebob's tests. Mr. Mannington. Reginald Mannington. You know, I thought there were 3 N's in Mannington, and that really would have solidified him as an ass. Mr. Mannington. Speaking from experience, who's gonna use chemistry in there? Who's going to use? I mean, I swear, y'all are watching me screw this up. My brain is not working. That's how you spell daily. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm like, why can't I? Why are my fingers not working here? Is that no? You're not doing it right. I'm a piece of garbage who cannot spell, but I usually can't not spell that badly. I do apologize for my failure. I will now be very ashamed. Can I just say that chemistry is, in fact, not boring? I have absolutely no use for it in my day-to-day life, but chemistry is absolutely not boring. There is a YouTuber I highly recommend everyone checking out. Their YouTube channel is Nile Red. He does really, really fantastic chemistry videos, like making raspberry perfume, making metal crystals from Pepto-Bismol. I had an okay chemistry teacher. I came up with some sort of weird conversion formulas for converting different kinds of units. And the teacher was like, I don't know what you're doing there, but if it works, you can use it. And I was like, okay. And I've forgotten what it was and may never remember. But I suggest everyone check out Nile Red on YouTube. They do a lot of fun chemistry stuff, like, here's some even more cool stuff. He does edible chem, where he makes mint flavoring from aspirin, which is a great video. It is amazing. He makes methyl salicylate from salicylic acid. It's really cool. He also I think turns ibuprofen into Tylenol through what I can only describe as witchcraft. I'm pretty sure he made bismuth from Pepto. The thumbnail looks like little bismuth widdly diddlies. Yeah, he does amazing chemistry videos, and he takes aspirin to acetaminophen and back again. It's 6 videos, but it's really nice. Like, he goes through step by step everything, and I encourage everyone who likes chemistry to go watch this man do just the most pointless yet amazing things with chemicals. Chemistry is not boring. I am sorry, chemistry. My dad's a chemist. I am not a chemist, but I do bake, and that's either witchcraft or chemistry or both. Because I look at cooking like I look at wizard spells. It's you get the materials and you just boom, and then you have a brownie. And I don't know how it works, but it does. So cooking is magic. If you take nothing else away from this live stream, cooking is magic, and acquaintanceship is witchcraft. I will definitely check out Mike's Eye at some point. I have a handful. I have several hours worth of video backlog to get through tomorrow. I got several live streams I want to watch. Thankfully, I already caught the new JonTron video, so I don't have to go watch that. But this is really good. Choo choo. There goes the train of thought. Yes, but you needed to graduate. said Reggie as they parted ways. Just keep that in mind. Oh, he just experiments with food. That sounds fun. I do a lot of experimenting with flavors. Flavors and sauces. I came up with a... I came up with a salad that revolved around a roasted butternut squash cubes as like the protein, and so I built it around a spring mix and arugula base with goat cheese, dried cranberries, and walnuts as the toppings, and then for the dressing, I matched the flavors of the arugula and the butternut squash to a roasted garlic, rosemary, balsamic vinaigrette. It was so good. Like, you could have handed me this not knowing what it was, and you could have told me that came from a restaurant, and I would have believed you. Like, the rosemary, the garlic, the arugula, the softness of the cheese, the butternut squash cubes, and the hardness yet slight give of the walnuts, and the sweet bite of the cranberries. Oh, every bite of that salad was just somehow perfectly crafted. And it's not the first time I've done that. I've played around with apples, walnuts, spring mix, raspberry vinaigrette, sugared cranberries. I'm really good at matching flavors in sauces. I can make marinades really easily. I love playing with flavor. Now, when it comes to actually cooking food, like soups and other things, I'm more of a hard recipe guy because I like to know how things go together before I start screwing with it. You're gonna have to fight many people to kidnap me to be their cook. I have told people before, and I'll say this again. I am hireable. All you have to do is give me a place to do my witchcraft and writing. Buy the food I need, and I will cook you anything you want. Supply me with my wizarding ingredients, and I will cast whatever spell you wish. Or food. I will cast whatever food spell. Because, honestly, like butter, sugar, brown sugar, vanilla extract, other stuff. Put it together, and what have you got? Bibbidi-bobbidi brownies. If anybody has more experience than me watching sunsets, because sunsets turn purple, right? Sunset. No, thanks, Google. Yeah, they turn purple. I am remembering this right. Yeah, pinkish purple. When the clouds are golden, staring at them will make you go blind. Please don't let your eyes be kissed by the setting sun. Yay. Bye, Hyber. Go get you some sleep. Go dream of scary monsters and report back. Ooh. I've got like a mixture of drinks over here, and I'm just bouncing back and forth between the things that make my mouth feel gross and water. Fake sugar and caffeine. Please do feed me your mind spooks. Currently churning out mind spooks right now. It's harder than it looks. Jim slowly made his way home as the sun began to set. The sky turned a beautiful pinkish purple, and the shadows crept out, snaking their way towards the road. Everything was... did I misspell that? Oh, good. Excellent. Everything was picturesque. Perfect. As... Yep, nope, can't spell that one. I've kind of painted myself into a corner, and I'm trying to roll it back. I'm trying to roll it back here. As the sun sank behind the library, the wind blew across the roof, making an almost inaudible whistle. Then... Yeah, I did it. The trouble has began. So, wow, this is really, writing is hard. Writing is really hard, especially when you're trying not to say silly things as you're going through the writing process. And I encourage everyone to try this out at least once in their life to realize how much effort it is. Let's hope Jim yeets himself home safely. I need a moment from mind thinking to whittle on. So, the use of silence in this story over here is gonna be yeah, I don't know. I'm literally rambling now because I'm trying to avoid continue writing until my brain has caught up to the rest of myself, which is not easy to do because brain dumb, think bad, hard. Oof. This was when the trouble began. Really help if I didn't yeet my own microphone. This was when the trouble began. Ooh. The next afternoon, Jim arrived at the library as usual. Everything was quieter than usual. Everything was quieter than he remembered. Yeah, maybe I don't use the word as usual 50 times in a row. There were people milling about, looking for books, but nothing was being spoken, not even the slightest whisper. Jim made his way over to the table where Reggie practically lived from the hours of 4 to 8. He tried to ask him what was going on, but only a muffled whisper came out. Reggie looked up, as though he understood him, but instead of issuing any kind of response, he simply went back to reading his book. Spooky. No, he just went home. He just went home. It's the next day. It's the next day. He didn't. His stuff. As a wise man once told me, if you're writing, if you're not writing the most interesting part of your character's life, you shouldn't be writing it. The next afternoon, after school. There. The next afternoon, after school, Jim went to the library as usual. Is that Bubber? Did I do it right? Because I'm really bad at what I do. So Yes, the silence is only affecting the library right now, and spoiler alert, it's also generating a cognitive effect that makes people not realize that everything is quiet after a while. And that's the reason Jim realizes this, but nobody else does because he hasn't been there as long. Watch out. I mean, if I could just sleep from the hours of all day until forever, I would. Maybe waking up only to feast upon rended flesh and heated meats. That would be the ideal life. Like, I'd love to not have to wake up at 7:30 in the morning to go to work until God only knows when, and then come home and feel like death. Then I am definitely dead because I cannot eternally lie. Which is unfortunate. Conversely, that is dead, which cannot eternally lie. Jim was dumbfounded. He wondered if everyone there had lost their minds. No one seemed to notice that silence had befallen the library. He felt a burning sensation in his mind, and it felt as though the very notion was being clawed out of his brain. Oh no, Cleric Brain, stop. Don't say these words. They're bad words to say. I'm trying not to think of this. Oh no. No, you're encouraging the bad thoughts with that language. Oh. That is not dead which can eternally lie on the slab, and which strange eons even death may dab. There, you did the make me do this stupid thing with my face hole. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Take care, Beth. Get you some sleeps and some foobs. Uh, do a dream. God only knows how long this story is going to be. Please, forgive me. He gripped his hands to the sides of his head as though physically harming himself would in some way allow him to cling to the clarity of his situation. He tried to scream in pain, but now not even his vocal cords would vibrate. He simply exhaled. Delicious. Ow, come on. Bad headphone cord. So, he's been in there long enough to have almost fully succumbed to the silent effects. So we're about halfway through, maybe, if I've paced this right. I haven't. I really haven't. So, gosh. Tried to scream in pain, simply exhaled. One moment. Oh look, he said the title of the story. He said the title of the story and the story itself. Roll credits. Everyone can go home now. We did it. Cut, print. Title drop. Yeah, no, I just had the idea. I was like, for the moment, he held on to his lucidity and began to poke around the library as though he was a capable enough investigator to find the answers to the silence between the pages of a book. Yeah, title drop. I never, ever title drop in my stories. But I did it here because it's a special story for special friends. Yay. I just want everyone listening, past, present, and future. I am never going to go back and listen to this at all. I am never going to listen to this. I promise you. I am rambling so hard. I apologize. Goodness. Is that how you spell it? Jesus. Didn't. Despite his higher brain functions wordlessly screaming at him not to, he decided to give chase. Do you see what I did there? It was bad. Take that, Tommy, you school bully. Take care, Zath. Go do a spooky. Do something spooky. Do a spooky. Write it down. Don't forget that part. That part's important. Because I find that if I don't write the ideas I have down, they just go away. I have lost so many stories. I have one on the whiteboard in here that I need to write, and it just says Fire Candy North Pole, and believe it or not, that's a whole story. That's just a whole story right there. Something I want to talk about next time is the 3-word story method. Spoiler alert. That's what that is. No, skill. What kind of laptop do you have? Because if they sold them in stores, I would recommend a Dell, because I used that for several years, and it's the hands down best laptop I've ever used. But they don't seem to sell those anywhere, because those are more school laptops. Ooh, HP Spectre. I have a HP Windows 10 something mobobber. I just got it. It's my PC is Lenovo. Lenovo. It was actually. I got a new. What is this? Optiplex 980? I don't know. Intel inside, monster outside. You know, I'm going to give away the game for Black Friday to everyone listening. Most of the products that they make for Black Friday are just that, made for Black Friday. Like the laptops and the printers, they're only produced specifically to be sold on that one day for a cutthroat price. So it's very likely that that laptop you bought on Black Friday was a laptop specifically designed to be quickly sold on a Black Friday. Because I know a lot of the printers, there are you can go in on Black Friday and find memory cards and battery backups that only exist for that time frame, and it's some of the weirdest stuff ever. But it's not something you notice unless you look at it. But Black Friday stuff is oftentimes only made for Black Friday to be sold on Black Friday and then quietly disappears afterwards. Much like holiday food. Except for candy corn. Unfortunately, candy corn. Yeah, no, I know. Proportion. Yeah, no, I'm really bad at what I do. These creatures were humanoid in proportions and size. In the silent air, it beat against his eardrums. Pair hammers. These creatures were humanoid in proportion and size, but with a bouquet of long claws in place of hands. 2 long yellow stripes ran down from each shoulder, and they gave off a sickly glow in the fluorescent lighting. One of them looked up to see Jim staring dumbfounded at them. It opened its mouth, and a soft, faint clicking noise issued forth. In the silent air, it beat against his eardrums like a pair of hammers. So, these things make noise. They're little clicky bastards. In fact, that's their official name, clicky bastards. If he could have. but he could feel the pounding of their clawed legs against the floor. Oh, little clickety-clackities. Panicking, he led himself toward the library's office, where he closed and locked the door. Taking a moment to assess his situation, he found that he was in a room with 3 or maybe 4 corpses, depending on how many limbs it took to make a puddle of flesh. Which is a really good question, and if anybody knows the answer to that, the nice policeman over here would like to speak with you. I feel that what is it? Okay. Entry. That's the word I wanted to use. That's what it was. Ah, that was fingers. Furiously trying not to give in to the temptation of opening the door simply to spare himself any more of the dreadful noise, he looked around for some kind of weapon. Something. Anything. Pencils. Pens. A clipboard. Then he saw it. He almost wept. No. We're not going to do that. Nothing jumped out at him. A loaded magnum was in the desk drawer, and then it hit him. Pencils, pens, a clipboard. Nothing jumped out at him. He resigned himself to his fate as the door began to give. It was nothing. No sound. No hope. Just that. Haha. You see what I did there? Yeah, we all brought it back around. No, Max, he didn't. The band's mixtape was so fire, it set off the fire alarms. And they peed themselves and had to go back home and try again. Whoa. They're like that one friend who you always go out with and you don't ever say anything to, but like if he could just hear the sound of his own damn voice, he would rip his own ears out and save us the trouble of ripping our own off. Everyone has that friend. Everyone. There's no exception to that. It's like, dude, have you listened to your own opinions? They're so bad. I'd beat you, but that's a crime. Do it yourself. There we go, boys and girls. As the rift closed, sound returned to the library. For Jim, it was like standing next to a shotgun as it was fired from the back of a jet as it took off. The shotgun, not the jet. He gripped his ears and screamed bloody murder before passing out from the pain. When he awoke, he was on a stretcher. There were paramedics and the police, both of which attempted to ask him questions about the grisly scene in which he had been found. Jim heard none of it. Jim, in fact, heard nothing at all. His eardrums had ruptured. All he could hear was blissful silence. That, and the worryingly distant sound of clicking. That is silence between the pages. I probably am going to go back and rework some to all of this, but I just wanted to sit down with everyone and try to write a story. Thank you. I tried my best to literally write a story while standing on a stage in front of people. If writing a regular story is hard, this is nightmare mode. Thank you, thank you. That's me. That's me pantomiming a bow. So experience gain. Writing a story on the fly while playing the piano, in a sense, is really difficult. It's okay to tell a story. You know, I could have sat here and I could have told you about this story. I could have run through it in less than 37 hours that this took. But I didn't find that was going to be interesting, because really, what's the fun of being spoiled on a story if you don't get to watch somebody tortuously ruin the English language as he tries to ham-fist his way through spelling even the most basic of words? Seriously, how much fun is it to watch me fail? Because I think it's hilarious. I mean, if Cleric plays OBS is any indication, it's great fun. But this is the story I wanted to tell. It's a story about a man in a library and a PA system and noisy, clicky bastards. And I don't really know what else to talk about now that I've spent way too long to write 1,100 words. So I thank everyone for coming out and putting up with me. I'd like to thank the Academy for giving me this award. And I'd like to blame myself for everything I've done. That's led me to being here right now, writing a story on the internet with a group of friends. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. And I'm going to play the fugue. Okay, I got one last chance to mess this up. I hope this is the right song, because I'm really bad at what I do. Oh, good, it is the right song. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. This has been Cleric Writes. Cleric rambles. Cleric spends way too long doing a thing that would take a normal person probably less time. But I'm going to call it Cleric Writes because that's a lot less writing I have to do. Because calling it Cleric does a dumb for almost 2 hours. It's really going to scare people away. It really should scare people away. I should really scare people away. I'm glad y'all had fun. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. I hope I am not completely boring the gourd right out of your brain. Pajama Sam Creepypasta win. Oh, I'm sure it exists. In fact, a gold star to the first person to deliver me a Pajama Sam Creepypasta lost episode haunted game cartridge. Don't make me write. Do not make me write a Pajama Sam knockoff horror story. 'Cause you know I will. But thank you, everyone, for coming out. I look forward to flailing around doing this again sometime very soon. Thank you for coming to my Dead Talk. That's a TED Talk that's spooky. Yeah. We need to turn this side. You know what? I would work on that. I would add that to my list of games in development. Like, it's already a staggeringly long list. Thank you for coming to my Sled Talk. No, that'd be the stream where I wrote Wendigo. That I didn't do, but I did write it. So, I hope everyone has a good insert-appropriate time here, depending on when you're watching this. No, it was not OBS hard mode. But I have been Cleric of Madness. And this has been enjoyable. Thank you all.